Prepare for a lot of jump cuts.
Hey YouTube, it's Elise. Randy Nova. What's going on? It's what day is it? It's Friday, July 31st. About to be August. So we're just gonna call this an August update. I hit 9 months. It's also a leap year that throws shit into whack. It's also 2020. Better mask up. It's 2020, bitches. You better mask up. 2020, bitches. I wanted to do a video, but as usual, I don't know what I should talk about. I usually take a very filtered approach to these videos. Lots of my happy thoughts and excitements about transition and all of the positivity. I really dial myself up to 11, so to speak. And it's not like I'm being fake, because I am being me. It's just an extreme version of me. I guess I just want to talk about stuff like that, because it's been, I don't know, it's been a hard week. It's been a hard, I don't know, realistically it's really hard. It's all really hard. Fuck. I'm so uncomfortable, I'm fidgeting. It's so hard. It was really hard to start transition. It was really hard to come to terms with the fact that I wanted transition. It's always been a constant thing in my mind, from little hints. Now, I learned really early on, accidentally, ways to ignore the hints, but you know, it started with toy preferences and clothing preferences and relating to people, and it just took a long time to come to terms with. I remember I used to daydream that it would be amazing to wake up and just be a cis woman, see what it was like to live like that for a day, and then see how that goes. See what it would be like to have a vagina. Not necessarily on the sexual side, just all the aspects of it and the way that it's different. And it was just a recurring thought that I would have, that I really wanted to see what it was like on the other side of the gender spectrum. But I always wrote it off, you know. I assumed everyone had these thoughts. I assumed it was normal. I assumed it was related to my insecurity. It's so many justifications. It was so easy to justify why I wasn't transgender. It was so much easier to justify things like my cross-dressing at the time as a fetish. That was the easier option to deal with. It's easier to hide that kind of stuff. It's really hard to hide that you're transgender, because, I mean, I tried. Sort of, for a little bit. I came to terms with the fact that I was incongruent with the typical gender binary in my early 20s. I would say that my serious exploration of the other side, as it were, began when I was about 18 or 19, basically the first time I moved out. And I finally felt the comfort and privacy and security to actually buy my own clothes and try out normal outfits, you know, shirts and stuff that wasn't sexualized, like underwear and lingerie and stuff like that. I'm not really sure why it took me so long. I don't blame anybody. I don't blame myself. I don't blame where I was brought up. I don't blame my parents. I don't blame accessibility, because I could buy all my underwear. I had a shitload of fucking panties. I had clothes. I wasn't buying my clothes. I didn't really buy a lot of clothes for myself, like, ever. Like, I feel like I was wearing things that were always purchased for me because I just didn't have much interest in the typical clothing. And I mean, at times I would buy clothes for myself, like I would buy band t-shirts, I would buy game t-shirts, stuff that I like. The majority of my wardrobe was not things that I had chosen, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I didn't dislike the clothes for what they were. They looked fine in my boy mode or whatever that was. I had I feel like I chose long sleeve stuff because I could hide my scars. Because I have scars just all across this arm. Up here, they got more visible. I nared them the first successful time. It just seems to have made them more visible, or maybe I'm just more aware of them because of all the thinking and being stuck in my head that I've been doing lately. I would wear long sleeves, hoodies, all that kind of stuff to hide the scars. Eventually, I started to see my scars as like a badge of honor. I survived all this self-harm that I had done to myself, and I stopped being ashamed of having done that to myself, and I stopped being ashamed of talking about it. I stopped being ashamed of people seeing it, and it's a very real part of my past. It's something that I did. It's a very stupid thing that I did, but fuck, I survived it, and I have lots of scars, but I'm still breathing. I'm still here. I'm still trying to be me, to be Elise, to be happy, to be comfortable. School's always really hard, especially once I got out of the early days of school. I always associated it with moving. When I was 7, we moved to a new neighborhood, a much more upscale neighborhood. I haven't looked back a lot on that time, but that's really when things started to turn as far as people's perceptions of me at that age. And before, I mean, I had few friends, but people were nice to me, and I didn't feel uncomfortable with my behaviors. I could explore, like, playing with different toys, like the Barbie dolls, the stuff like that, at my babysitter's house. And I could be intrigued by, mind you, I was 5 years old, before you get any ideas. I could admire the clothing of her teenage daughter, the cute tops that she would wear, and all this stuff. I would think about one day wanting to try all that. The earliest I remember that was age 4. And I guess even though I didn't know what I was feeling, I didn't have any words for it, I didn't even understand that there was this incongruency that I was experiencing, I had outlets to explore it comfortably and semi-privacy, to not feel shunned about it or anything. And I got that a teeny bit when we moved. There were these neighbors across the street, and 2 little girls lived there. And I remember one day we were sitting out front playing with the Barbie dolls, and I don't know, it was just so much fun, because like I hadn't really been able to do that, and it only ever happened once, and I don't remember why we stopped that day, but for some reason we stopped, and it just really never happened again. I really drifted away from other women, other girls. Then puberty hit, and I really drifted away from everybody. That's when I started self-mutilating. Teasing and bullying, and at school started to get really bad. I've been called everything under the sun. People used to call me fat ass. People used to call me faggot all the fucking time. That's got to be the most common one. And I used to tell people I was a lesbian. People were always so shitty to me, and I was always so scared to act the way that I wanted to in a situation. It'd be too femmy. I was always a very feminine guy, and I just never really felt comfortable being myself. And that made school and my first go through puberty and everything really fucking difficult. I was an emotional wreck throughout all of puberty. I got through it. On the academic side, I would say I didn't have good grades by any means, and I graduated a semester early, class of 2009, completed my associate's degree that following semester, and got that a couple of months before my graduating class got their high school diplomas. I think I might have lost all that. I moved from Michigan back to where I am now. Grew up in Utah with the Mormons, and that could have been aspects to not being comfortable to come to terms with who I am. I had a friend that I met at work that we both wore thongs, and I had noticed his, and we both were aware of and had been to a particular site on the internet, a deep dark cesspit, by the way, and we connected with that, and he's a great guy, but I was able to really explore that side of me, and being comfortable with it with someone in real life, in the flesh, as opposed to like talking about certain things online with people. There was this one girl that I used to talk to about wearing panties, and she was my first experience with acceptance about that kind of stuff. The first person I really told about it. I made jokes here and there, very sparingly, but she was definitely the first person I opened up to about it. That probably really started my journey. This turned into a history of me, history of my gender non-conformity, a history of my poor recollection of the past. Then we moved here, and I had already explored some of my gender identity through cross-dressing. And I say cross-dressing not because I mean to disparage it, but because what I was doing was not cross-dressing. The cross-dressing I was doing was wearing male clothes every day and acting like a male, being very closed off and shy, and never being authentic. Transition has really allowed me to share my authenticity, the ways that I am naturally inclined to react to situations. Navigating the world as a woman is so much more comfortable. Still learning how to be a girl. I feel like there's so much that I missed out on. In some ways I feel like I missed my childhood. I wasn't doing things with boys. I wasn't hanging out with people. I wasn't gathering social skills. I was on a computer, and that was all I did. Getting fat and getting isolated and becoming a neck-bearded hermit. And really my social awakening didn't start until I really started to accept my gender. I had been exploring desires of passing and things like that for months when I met my ex-boyfriend. I don't know if you still watch my videos. Babe, if you're out there, I love you, and I can't thank you enough. I met him on a chat site, and he was the first person to really ask me about why I was doing these things, why I was wearing women's clothing, why I was attempting to show it to people, why I was doing these things, and ran out of fucking space, of course. Anyway, thank you, unnamed ex-boyfriend. You know who you are, if you're watching. I can't thank you enough. But when he asked me, I really took a deep dive. Gender dysphoria and being trans and applying it to my life, and just, it was like an explosion of realizations and understanding of myself. And I feel like, I stayed up all night whenever we had the discussion about it. It was like a light was flipped on. Found my answer to all of my fucking questions about why I liked certain things, why I was the way I was, why I couldn't do this, why I couldn't do that, why this made me uncomfortable, why that didn't, why I... There's so many things I could get into. We were talking about ex-boyfriend and coming to terms with my gender. After that deep dive on myself and my past and all that, I realized that I was trans. That the thought of maybe from as fucking early on as puberty hitting was that yes, I am. The only question at that point was, how far am I gonna take it? And at this point, I still don't fucking know exactly how far I'm gonna take it. Tonight, before I made this video, I was watching a video on SRS. I don't experience a lot of genital dysphoria. It's never been a big thing on my radar, but it's been on my radar. I've been confidently saying that I'm what is called Nana, as it relates to bottom surgery. But deep down, I'm really not sure. I don't know, I cried watching that video, and that's so uncommon anymore. I used to cry all the time when I was younger, and I was hurting myself, and I was hating life, and not fitting in. But sometime around 2021, I really tried hard to break myself of that, oh, I'm not gonna cry, and all that shit. And I'm still fighting with that. I've probably talked about it. I'm sure I have. I know I've bitched about not being able to cry, but the point being, when I do cry, it's always intense. And it often catches me by surprise. And it feels so good to cry. But anyway, I still don't know how far I'm gonna go. I have an idea of how far I have to go. In a lot of ways, I'm already going through that. I've been on hormones for 9 months consecutively. If you count when I was on hormones when I was 24, I've been on hormones for about a year. I don't know if I should count that. There was definitely some feminization that happened even while I was on that little baby dose I was taking when I was 24 that stayed. I mean, I've talked about it before. My breasts, my face shifted a little bit, the littlest bit. Maybe one of these days I'll do a comparison photo of like 23 to 25. If I compare today pictures to complete pre-HRT pictures of myself, the difference is ridiculous. The side-by-side picture between from 26 to today, because I did that a couple of days ago, yesterday, is not very drastic. So I need to do that. I'm really curious. But the point is 9 months to a year on hormones, and that's going to continue. It has to continue. I can't imagine it not continuing anymore. I'm so I got on this fucking tangent, and I'm about to get there. To steer my fucking brain back to the topic, found out that I was trans, and the only question was, how far was I gonna go? Could I just be live some days like that, live some other days normally? And it quickly became apparent that I had to transition. I had to transition. I couldn't keep it in the closet. I had to tell people, and I was dressing so much more in my private time, at night, always at night. I always had to put on a dress to sleep. When I wasn't around people, I couldn't stand wearing those clothes anymore. I had to wear something else, something feminine, and that just progressed to where I just had to do that all the time, and has to this day, and did throughout my whole time when I lived in Michigan with my ex-boyfriend, and even out here when I got back and I went through the awkward. When I was in Michigan, I lived as a woman. I was not always going to the effort. I would let my facial hair get out of control, but I didn't wear male clothes at all, ever. I had no desire to. I had no reason to. I was in awful moods all the time and uncomfortable all the time, but I was being myself. I was being a woman. I was living as a woman. I was learning how to be myself and be open. And then I came back here and that all changed. Through no fault of nobody, I felt obligated to push it away, kind of back into the closet. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I came with no clothing. I came back wearing a shirt that had been given to me, the pair of pants that I had been wearing when I left our place in Michigan, pretty much nothing. And so clothes were given to me, and like always, they were male clothes, and there was a lot of exasperation behind the scenes of having lived as a woman for 5 years, having had everybody in his family, his large family by the way, know, then coming back and it just being such a drastic shift was difficult. But then I got a job and started to explore being myself again. And I kind of just gave up on caring how people saw me. I was just gonna be me. And there were a lot of situations where people figured it out. I don't know if it was what I would wear sometimes. I don't know if it was the fact that I had breasts. I don't know if it was the way I talked or the way I interacted. But I remember at one point, one of the donation attendants came to talk to me and wanted to know if I was trans. And at that point, I hadn't really told anyone there. I think it was just everyone knew I used an I for my name, and even when I wasn't trying to hide it, I never, since truly accepting it myself, I've never tried to hide it. Although these days, it's interesting to leave it out with new people, like when I don't have to. With my name change at work and with everybody on board with the pronouns and everything, I don't know if they talk about me behind my back or whatever. I don't know what's said about me. I don't really care either, to be honest, because everyone's pretty cool to me and everyone treats me like a woman. I am a woman, but it's really new to not have this shift where some people know and treat me that way and other people treat me just as I'm perceived. I don't know, it's weird. Like, I've seen people talking about having meetings with HR and having this big thing where they tell everybody and they ask for this and they ask for that, and I didn't go through any of that, but it's like somebody did. And I think I know who it would be if they did that. It's just been such a shift, and maybe it's because it's been going on for so long. I mean, at this point, half of the staff or more wasn't there before I was back to complete full-time, I'm a woman and I want you to address me as such. Lots of people have come and gone, but in almost all situations these days, besides in the family, I can do that, and it feels great to do that. And I've really grown a lot just in the past 6 months because of that. And I don't know how much of it has to do with hormones. I don't know how much of my uncomfortable weeks have to do with my hormone levels. I need to go get them checked. But I'm still seeing changes. I'm not stalling it. And there's nothing about my transition that's stalled. But wow, I've been talking about this for 50 minutes. How the fuck am I gonna edit this down? I don't know. Just when I think things are starting to plateau, something new happens. Like when I decided to start using my new name at work, that was a really quick change. Thank you, boss, that made that happen. When that happened, a lot of stuff changed. Like the management changed a lot. I'm no longer management, and the store manager is the only manager that's still there from before. And I'm sure it comes up, it has to. I mean, I slip with my voice, and it's not like my voice is all that great. I mean, I already lost it. I've been talking relaxed for fucking who even knows how long. Or maybe I haven't. I don't even know anymore. I just fucking talk anymore. And I don't know. I feel like I've been passing. And even if it's not passing, people have been acting like a pass. And customers and new managers, and I get misgendered very infrequently, but I find that the more I taste proper gendering, the more the misgendering hurts. But I feel like I need to get over that again, because I had gotten over it before, and I think it's just been catching me off guard. I've been getting a little too comfortable and maybe full of myself, but even the last month has been very exciting on that front. But then I have all this shit that's piled on. Everything's in flux right now. There's talk of transferring to a different store. My romantic relationship is changing for the better, but it's changing. I've been trying to change things about myself and my behaviors, learned behaviors. I've been trying to grapple with that. I've been trying to grapple with finding better employment as far as financially speaking, because I need to find a place, and there's been a lot of pressure for that from all sides of my life, both personally. There's been a lot of pressure because I want my privacy, and I want all my environments to treat me the same. There's been pressure from my relationship, not from him necessarily, but just from more wanting that privacy for us, and maybe even wanting a place together. And then there's pressure from the family to get on it, and so there's a lot there, and I haven't been doing much. I can daydream all I want that doing these is gonna somehow turn into money. I'm gonna get some following. Everyone's gonna subscribe to my OnlyFans and start buying that shit. Randy Nova. But it's not gonna happen. At least it's not gonna happen anytime soon. So the reality is I need to find a better job, and trying to get back into management is at the quickest a month away, and after that I feel like it's not necessarily feasible because of things that have been said, and I don't know that I necessarily want to, and besides the point that I may not even want to do that, it wouldn't solve the problem anyway. Like, if I went back to my position that I was before, I still wouldn't be able to move out. I still wouldn't be able to wouldn't be making enough money. I don't know what kind of roommates I could find. I want one roommate. I would need more roommates, and I don't know who I'd want to live with. I don't know who would live with me. Maybe I should explore that more. But it's just, that's the thing. I should just fall back on my ability to manifest my reality. But the point is it's a lot of pressure, and I feel like I'm failing at it, and I feel like I'm trying to do way too much, and every aspect of my life is asking me to, including myself. And I don't know, because of all that, it's been a hard month. Hard couple of months. Hard life. It's a hard not life for us. Do, 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 do. But, round 3, because it happened again. Somehow I talked longer than the videos I deleted. But that's it. That's a video. I'm calling it. We're done. I'll name it whatever. I'll edit it. I'll get it up. It'll go up soon. You'll see it. You're seeing it now. And if you made it to this point and listened to my rambles, probably either my parents or a good friend. Or maybe you just really like me. But in any case, I really appreciate that you took the time to listen to me, to listen to my life, to my very specific magnifying glass view of my life. And I hope that you enjoyed it. Maybe it helped you. If you somehow got to this point and didn't enjoy it, I don't know how you got to this point, but at least you got to that point. Thank you. And Elise is gonna go, so I'll see you guys later. Bye.